I know that everybody screams he's got autism, but that doesn't mean he's fucking, excuse my language, that doesn't mean he's stupid or that he can't or won't go hang out with his friends or didn't make a friend. I have thought from day one, even before they took polygraphs and passed, and Katie took a polygraph for the TBI and she passed it. Not saying that that's 100% reliable in court.
Right.
Won't use them in court, but I do feel like that was an elimination process. If she would have failed it, I'd probably feel a different way. But they said she passed, and so did Chris. And what really bothered me the most about that too is Seth refused to take one for TBI. He would only take it for Nancy Grace, and the first one he fell asleep and failed it. So not that I'm saying he was even there or a part of it, but it's just very odd to me that people are still blaming Katie when,
Okay, I understand where you're coming from.
Teenagers.
May I say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
I understand where you're coming from. So yes, Seth did take one through Nancy Grace, which we all have to give him credit for, which was under a high-level FBI guy that did it. And Katie did take one. But do we know for 100% fact that Chris took one? That's what I want to know. He told us he took
I'll
one.
vouch for him.
Yeah, he took one. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but how do we know that?
TBI wasn't going to play that. TBI made sure. Tennessee Bureau of Investigations made sure. That's another thing too. Is I was wondering why is I understand Nancy Grace is a TV show and that she's got that that guy,
Right.
but why not go through the TBI like Katie and Chris did? That's through the police department.
Right, and I'm sure he probably would have. I don't know. I can't answer him.
I can't answer you. I have no idea if he was.
Yeah, and also the fact it's a lot more effective when the police do a polygraph, because polygraphs are not. You can easily fail them. You can pass them. They're not really. They don't. If they're not worked well, they're not really great tools. They're really tools for They're good for interrogation, basically. So, for instance, let's say someone failed a polygraph. They can easily go up to that person and bring them in the office and say, hey, we got your polygraph and you failed here. And they go into the questionings again. When you do it on Nancy Grace, you can't do that. You fail a polygraph, worst case scenario, you get yelled at about the news. But the fact is that instead it kind of takes away from the investigation, in my opinion. And also I believe that his first test, Seth Rogers' first, he fell asleep during it. And if that would have been done by the police, if we say Chris and Katie fell asleep during and failed the polygraph because they fell asleep, that would have been pretty a bad situation. So I don't agree. I feel like Nancy Grace doing the polygraph instead of the police. I think the police one is better.
More questions when that, you know what I'm saying? When it's Nancy's but then again, we don't really know if the TBI offered to give him one either. We don't know,
Well, may I ask your thoughts on why Chris said that it would be a kind of like a cheat sheet when he did the polygraph test? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean a cheat sheet?
There was a recording done. I don't know what interview it was. It was kind of like he could pick the questions of the polygraph test and pretty much be a cheat sheet.
They all did that.
Yeah, that's kind of...
They all.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, they tell them what questions they're going to ask.
Yeah.
Seth's polygrapher he explained the entire thing that he did with Seth on Nancy Grace's show. He did the exact same thing.
The concept of a polygraph really is not to detect lies, it's to detect basically anxiety or some sort of you might be having about something. Fluctuations. And the thing is, you can have that test could be set off with I'll give an example. There was a guy who was an interrogator on YouTube, and he said the woman failed her polygraph because she was more worried about her getting a ticket outside when she was in the middle of taking the polygraph. So when she was thinking about getting nervous, she was getting nervous about a ticket, and that fucked up the entire polygraph. And that's just how it is. A polygraph is a tool it's just the initial starter for an interrogation. It's not admissible. They're not admissible. It's I'll give an example. A polygraph is like the old, the Inquisition, where they showed you the tools before the the interrogation to scare you off. That's what I
Mhm.
look at a polygraph. And maybe if it's used properly, you can probably narrow down on the questions a little bit and be like, well, this person failed this question. Maybe we need to hammer down this question on them and see what their positions are. But usually police interrogations, they just kind of nicely ask you what happened, and then they go again, they ask you again and again, and they may ask for a polygraph, and then they use that to kind of, if you mess up on any part of the polygraph, they go at you again and ask you to see if your story's messing up or something. But yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, there's no cheat sheet with it. Even if I gave you all the questions and told you all the questions, you could still fail a polygraph if you're having anxiety of something else.